In 1995, a man robbed two banks in broad daylight with no mask on. Security cameras caught his face clearly. Police had him identified within hours, and when they showed up at his door, he was genuinely stunned. Not that he got caught, that the cameras had seen him at all. He'd rubbed lemon juice on his face before walking in. He'd read that lemon juice is used in invisible ink, and reasoned that meant it would make his face invisible to a camera, too. He was so confident he tested it beforehand, took a Polaroid of himself, and the photo came out blank because he'd aimed the camera wrong. He never questioned that. He just walked into two banks feeling completely unseen. That true story is the reason two psychologists, Dunning-Kruger and David Dunning, started researching something that now carries their name. And what they found is more unsettling than the lemon juice guy himself, because he wasn't a rare exception. He was a preview of how a lot of us think, in smaller, quieter, far less illegal ways, every single week. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly why the least competent person in a room is very often the loudest one in it. And somewhere in the next few minutes, you're going to recognize yourself. Not the whole time, just once. Hold on to that moment when it happens. Here's why this isn't just an interesting fact. A bad doctor doesn't just make a mistake, he can kill someone. A bad parent doesn't just have a bad day, they can shape how a child sees themselves for the next 30 years. A bad boss doesn't just annoy people, they can quietly end a career someone spent a decade building. This pattern isn't trivia. It's sitting underneath decisions that ruin lives, made by people who felt completely sure while they were doing it. When Dunning and Kruger ran their actual study, they gave people tests, then asked each person to guess how well they'd done compared to everyone else. The people who scored in the bottom of the group didn't just misjudge themselves slightly, they consistently guessed they'd landed around average, sometimes above it. The people who scored near the top routinely guessed lower than they deserved. The worse someone performed, the more confident they were. The better someone performed, the more they doubted themselves. That's backwards from everything we assume about competence. Here's why. To know you're bad at something, you need enough skill in that exact thing to see the gap. A weak chess player can't feel their own bad moves because the same broken instinct that made the move is the only instinct they have to judge it with. It's a ruler checking itself against itself. Every measurement comes back correct because there's no second, better ruler in the room. Picture a beginner investor 6 weeks into the market, telling friends with total certainty which stock is guaranteed to triple. No hedging, no it depends, just pure conviction. 3 months later, he's lost half his savings. And the part that should embarrass him more than the loss is this. Right up until the money disappeared, he felt more sure about markets than people who'd studied them for 15 years. Now the twist that should genuinely unsettle you. Genuinely skilled people tend to underestimate themselves because they're painfully aware of everything they still don't know. The less you know, the smaller your map of things I haven't learned looks. So confidence balloons to fill the space. The more you know, the bigger and scarier that map gets, so confidence quietly shrinks. Which means in almost any room, one person hedges carefully and one person speaks in absolutes, and the room usually believes the wrong one. Not because they're right, because certainty is louder than accuracy. This pattern has a shape. Once you can name it, you'll see exactly where someone, including you, is standing inside it. Stage 1 feels like a straight line up. You learn a handful of rules in the first 2 weeks, and suddenly feel like you basically get it. This is the most dangerous stage there is, because confidence is at its lifetime peak while ability is near its lifetime low. Most people never leave this stage. Not because they can't, because it feels too good to walk away from. Then the crash. The exceptions start piling up faster than your simple rules can explain them, and it feels bad. This is where almost everyone quits, not from lack of ability, but because retreating to easy confidence feels so much better than sitting inside how much you don't know. Survive that, and you land in the slow climb. Confidence that's actually been broken and rebuilt, tested against complexity more than once. Being told you're wrong doesn't threaten this person anymore, because it's already happened to them 100 times on the way up. And then mastery, which circles all the way back to something that sounds like stage 1. Stage 4 looks identical to stage 1 from the outside. Same easy tone, same simple sentences. Completely different foundation underneath. One is simple because complexity hasn't been found yet. The other is simple because complexity has been fully digested. Tone of voice alone will never tell you which one you're listening to. Here's a fast way to actually tell them apart. Ask a genuine follow-up. What's a situation where that wouldn't apply? Someone in stage 1 stalls. not from stubbornness, but because the question doesn't compute. Someone further along almost always has an answer ready, because real understanding includes knowing exactly where it stops working. Now here's why this doesn't fix itself, and this is the part that should actually make you angry once you see it clearly. Watch classic game shows closely. Contestants most sure of a wrong answer bet everything with zero hesitation, while contestants who actually know more hedge out of caution. Look at flat earth communities and you'll find people who rate themselves more scientifically literate than average while rejecting settled physics. Not unintelligent people. People whose reasoning error is hiding from the exact skill that would catch it. Social media didn't invent this. It just built a machine that rewards it. The algorithm doesn't check who's right, it checks who's engaging, and nothing engages a scroll like someone speaking with zero hesitation. So the platform most people learn from is structurally tilted toward amplifying the people least equipped to know they might be wrong. It follows you home too. Think about the last argument with someone you love, where they spoke with such total certainty that you started doubting your own perfectly reasonable position, even with the facts in your favor. Same mechanism, different room, and this time it costs you something real. I have to stop pointing at other people here because it would be hypocritical not to. Years ago, I was completely convinced I understood a certain industry off the back of a handful of articles. I argued about it, confidently, with people who actually worked in that field. Looking back, what unsettles me isn't that I was wrong. Everyone's wrong about something. It's that there was no internal alarm. No quiet voice going, maybe check this first. The wrongness felt exactly like correctness from the inside, which should scare you a little too, because it means the feeling of being right proves nothing at all. So how do you protect yourself from becoming the lemon juice guy and from being fooled by one? Get suspicious of certainty that arrives with zero friction. Go looking for the moment you're wrong before someone hands it to you by asking what would actually change your mind. And practice sitting inside "I don't know" instead of rushing to patch the silence. Starting somewhere low stakes this week. One honest risk worth naming. Doesn't constantly questioning yourself just cause paralysis? Not if you use it as a filter. Not a full-time habit. 2 questions only. How costly is it if I'm wrong here? And who actually pays that cost? What to eat tonight doesn't need an audit. Telling a coworker their entire approach is broken does, and nobody is uniformly humble or overconfident across their whole life. The same surgeon who's careful in the operating room can be completely untested certain about parenting. Skill in one area gives you zero protection in another. Sometimes it works against you. Which brings us back to the title. And I won't let either of us off the hook here. It would be easy to end this by saying, everyone does this, so it's fine. It's not fine. The most dangerous people were never the unintelligent ones. They're the ones who stopped questioning themselves the moment they felt sure. And most people never leave stage 1 on the topics that matter most to them, because leaving requires the one thing most people spend their whole life avoiding, the discomfort of finding out you were wrong in front of someone. So here's the actual test, not intelligence. When this person is proven wrong, do they get curious or do they get defensive? That single reaction tells you more than an hour of confident talking ever will. Somewhere in your life right now, you're standing in stage 1 about something. That's not an insult. It's just what it means to be a person moving through a world too large for any one mind to hold. The only real difference between the people who grow past this and the people who stay stuck in it forever is whether they're willing to feel that small, uncomfortable flicker of doubt and sit with it a moment longer instead of covering it with certainty. That flicker isn't weakness. It's the one thing the lemon juice guy never had.